I'm Marijke.
And I'm Jennifer.
And this is Cat's Chats. So what's the biggest success factor for speech and language therapy?
The biggest success factor, motivation in the person themselves, right?
Internal
and in
motivation.
the family.
Yeah.
I think especially for older school age kids.
Yeah.
Teenagers, definitely. If they're not bought into, they want to do therapy to make a change for themselves, no matter what you say or do,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like so often we have adults coming to us later on, isn't it? And they're like, oh, you know, I was made to do therapy as a child and it wasn't good, obviously because they weren't very, you know, motivated by it in the first place. But I want to make a change now.
Yeah.
Or we have some kids who are like super into, yes, I want to change it. I can see how it is and you're going to make it fun. So that's fine.
Yeah.
But if they're not engaged, you're just wasting everybody's time.
Absolutely. And I have that talk with my kiddos, especially as we get to say 9 and 10 and upwards for speech or fluency, especially. These are the kiddos who I say to them, look, this is the work that needs to be put in. And this is your voice. This is your time. And if you want to make it happen, you have to put the work in. Your mom can't do it for you. Your dad can't do it for you. I can't. I can guide you, but you have to put the work in. And I want you to have a think about it and let me know. Like there's no judgment. I'm not going to be mad at you if you say you don't want to do it. But I do want you to really have a think about it because it's up to you. And the ones who do really well are the kiddos who are really invested in working on it for themselves.
Yeah. And then from a family support point of view, the families where they're really engaged and they know that the work is really being done at home.
Yeah.
We're guiding where and giving ideas, but we can't be there every day.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All the practice times come up during the day in routines like meal times, blah, blah, and even to have 20 minutes just to sit, and if it comes to that, you need to do some practice. That's more than enough. If it's quality over quantity, that's great. But sometimes, you know, you might have a parent who, you know, I remember when we were doing sessions and you'd have a parent on the phone and they're not engaged at all, or, you know, reading a newspaper, something like that. And you're not going to get any support for the child at home if the parent's not going to engage in even watching the therapy. I know it's not very exciting to watch, but to know what to do at home and to really be able to do it, because that's when we see the best progress, isn't it?
Absolutely. And regardless if it's online or face-to-face, there's only a handful of kiddos who I allow the parents to not be there, I suppose. And that's often guided by the child. I have some kiddos who are like, bye, get out of here. I don't want you in the room. Okay, I'm not gonna push it then. Okay, if you want it to just be our time, that's no problem. But most of the time, I'm engaging the parents. I'm offering them a seat on the little chair, or saying you can have a big chair if you want, but we're gonna bring it over here to really encourage parents to participate, not just to watch, but to participate as well, because that gives us the opportunity to do a little coaching and for them to actually try out what we're doing, and for the child to see that they can do it with their parents, and so they might be more happy to do it at home with their parents when you're more of a reluctant learner.
Especially the under 8s. I think that is really important, the hands-on piece, where the older kids, I think if you teach them, you support them like young adults almost, and that you essentially give them that responsibility and ownership on things, but you also give them the support that they still need at that age. And going, yes, great, I think it's good to do one-on-one, and then I'll talk with mom if you're okay with me sharing the information you share with me. We'll talk about how they can support you at home. So it's really going to be you. But when it's the littlies, it's all about the hands-on, isn't it? Really being able to do it themselves. Yeah. But what's interesting is we can coach parents so well on language things. Yeah. And it came up before for me recently that from a a speech sounds point of view, you know, they did that research on the speech and language therapy assistants and how they did so well that the clients did really well with the support of speech and language therapy assistants working using on language skills. Yeah, but they didn't need the speech and language therapist to do that. But from speech sound perspective, there was not that same piece, because you come with a toolkit of things, and speech sound work is so much more complex. Yeah, you know, I found even with my own son, it was tricky to be able to do that engagement and do that practice and then to know what to do next. Yeah. Where if it's somebody else going, okay, this is the next level you're using to do, this is the next target we need to do, because you need to go work on the really difficult sounds to get the easy sounds. That makes no logical sense, does it? Yeah, I know. So,
and then the work entailed in like the drill work involved in, say, speech sound work is so different to a language-based activity. Because there is a lot of drill. Let's try it again, try it again, try it again. Let's talk about the sounds and how they're made. And you're trying to encourage children to make the sounds while not discouraging them because they mightn't have said it right. So you want to still continue to build up their self-esteem and keep them engaged in the activity, which, you know, especially for phonological disorders, there is a lot of drill work involved, and it's can be so boring for the kids and it's so hard for them, so you're really trying to encourage them and make it as fun as possible. And I suppose that's a tricky thing with encouraging the parents and helping them to come up with fun ways of doing this boring drill work.
Exactly. And I find sometimes we need to do something different in therapy than we do recommend the parents do. Yeah. Because parents can't get away with the same things we do in therapy. We're like drill. Kid goes, yes. Yeah. You know, you're lovely and I only see you once a week or every fortnight. So, you know, it's grand. But then the parents who is every day, they're like, no, I'm not going to do this stuff. You know, this is not on. So you need to have like sneaky practice. Yeah. Doing things in more natural ways, or we play a board game practicing it instead of going, okay, now we're going to do this. Yeah. Drill 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Exactly.
You know? Or being able to sneak in the practice in different ways. That's you know, where you have to put your creative hat on. I think that's where it's really important to be able to have that experience, to be able to say it to the parent. Yeah. Try this, try that.
Yeah, and having that creativity and coming up with those ideas. How can we help you engage your child in these goals throughout the day? So you're not necessarily just sitting at a table doing work, but what can you do in the car? What can you do at the shopping center? What, you know, what can you do wherever you are? And I suppose from a success in therapy point of view, the motivation of the parents and the giving it a go-ness, I suppose, to say, okay, I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna try what the SLT said. I'm gonna go for it, and having that communication with the SLT, I think, is important to be able to send a quick email and say, this worked, this didn't work. I'm really struggling here. Can you help me? What do I say in this case, so that we can coach throughout the week? I think that's really important as well.
And even just the approach from the beginning, we don't have a magic wand. We can't magically change things. Yeah. It has to be with some grafting, to be honest. Yeah. You have to really work to make a change. And that's why we need people on board for that. I think with age, do you know, sometimes people say, well, for 7 years, neuroplasticity, you're going to see more changes in the brain. Yeah. And so on, but sometimes it makes people think that after 7, that means you're not going to see it. Yeah. But we've had clients various ages where if motivation is there, age is not a factor. Yeah. You can still make a big difference. Yes, it's great to start with the littlies, and you know, fantastic fun to do that kind of therapy. But it's also at any point, like young adults, older adults, they all can see a big difference in. And for me, what's probably the point where I go, this is why we do what we do, is when you see the change in somebody's well-being. And you're like, I can talk to my friends now. I can go out. I can. My life is different. Yeah. I feel happier.
and
we've
confidence
just changed
and
something small, like a lisp, where we've a stutter is now they feel more comfortable, so that when they're stutter, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, those kind of things. That's when you go, life is good.
Yeah.
If you have any questions,
give us a call.
Send in your questions and we'll try our best to answer them.